Good evening, everyone. Apologies for the delay, technical issues all around. So, how's everybody is doing? Please do comment in the chat box that my voice is audible to everyone. You are able to hear me. Good evening, good evening. So, talking about day two, what an exciting response you guys gave it to me on day one. I was so motivated and even thrilled for today's session. So yesterday, me and Manas, we were discussing about the open source, the opportunity that open source gives to an individual, what everybody should do, because when you talk about a software engineer's life, open source contribution is really, really important. So today, day two, I believe from the thumbnail, everybody can talk about that. Yes, today we are going to talk about the introduction to Cogito. And what I should say that I'm not going to talk about what is Cogito. Again, I have one of my friend from Red Hat who is going to talk you about Cogito more, and he is more expert than me to talk about that particular project. Now, one thing that yesterday Manaswani also talked about is that it is very important to contribute to community, and clearing your basics and fundamental is equally important. Now, many people actually texted me personally that, hey, we want the community address or like where we should go and like contribute to. Also, side by side, what my objective of doing this series was always to give you insight inside a software engineer's life, what software engineer life is all about at Red Hat. Now, the thing is, the disclaimer would be that whatever we are going to discuss today is actually purely our, I should say, assumptions, or I should say, our learnings, or I should say, it's our totally our experiences that what we are doing. So, what me and Tarun will be discussing with you today itself, it's purely based on our learnings, our experience, and moreover the journey that we have been going through. So as I rightly mentioned, one of my friend is here. So Tarun, I met him around like couple of years back, and I saw that he's quite an enthusiastic person. He's always ready to collab. He's one of those sort guy that if you give him a task and if he really finds out exciting, he will give his 110% to it. On the other side, he's very much open to collab, and whenever I have like requested him, he was always there with the happy hearts to come and discuss the things and whatever the learnings he had. So when I was like going through that and when I was designing this series, I thought that this is the right moment, that if somebody who has like just converted his internship period to an associate software engineer, this will be the right moment to discuss with him that what is the importance that you feel that open source has given to your career. And side by side, definitely he can share some of the insights that how the interview process went for him. So I proudly bring one of my friend, one of my colleague from Red Hat, associate software engineer Tarun Khandelwal on the screen. Hey Tarun, how are you, buddy? Cheers.
Yeah, hi Gaurav. It's pleasure to be on your channel.
Awesome, man. So as I was discussing, so according to you, what open source means to you?
Yeah, open source can mean multiple things. Like for me, it means open to collaboration, open to networking. You meet so many great guys in open source, and they are all very passionate about the software they write, and you get to learn so much from them. Open source, the code is all open, so you don't have to write the code for yourself, but for the community, so others can read. It's not like you're the only one who is going to read it or design it or deploy it. It's the collaboration among many others. So it's really great working in open source. It's give you a confidence that I never had before working at Red Hat. So working in Red Hat was my first time collaborating to open source. I was afraid, actually, to be really honest. I was afraid to contribute to any of the repository. I had no idea how Git worked or how to contribute to any of the projects. I knew some of them, but I never had the courage to do so. But Red Hat gave me the platform to do, and I really enjoyed it. It's to anyone out there who is still afraid, don't be afraid, guys. It's very welcoming community, and everyone motivates you, encourages you to do your really best.
No, definitely. You rightly mentioned that Red Hat being the market leader, we have always done the great, great significant change to when it comes to open source contribution. And people like you who has that enthusiasm that yes, I can bring a change. And that's the only mentality we want. So Let me bring on the last question that we have yesterday, that when was your first PR? Means when your first PR got merged, what was your excitement level to? What was your feelings about that?
So my first PR was last year in March. Like it's gonna be around 1 year, 2 months, a month
Hmm.
from now. So I got really excited. Like initially, I just wrote the code, but at first I got so many review comments like it's not supposed to be this and it should be like that. And you get to learn so much. But when it gets finally merged, like your first piece of code, you never forget that PR, and it's really
Yes.
exciting and really bring the chills down your
No,
spine. Yeah.
definitely means I can correlate, and even so, as the Manaswini and everybody was that when it comes to merging your PRs and when your first PR got merged, because before that there are a lot of reviews by your friends from the community across the globe. They provide you the valuable feedback, and that is what the open culture is all about. So Tarun, why don't you tell our viewers that what is your job role as a associate software engineer at Red Hat? What is your working life is? How's your day is all about? And before you say that, guys, as promised, today also we are going to give a giveaway. So please feel free to put down the question, and one of you, the lucky one, will get a goodies from our side. So please feel free to put down the question, and towards the end we will take on those questions with Tarun itself. So Tarun, yeah, how's your life as a software engineer at Red Hat? Yes.
So my life is great. Actually, it's changed quite a bit. I never thought I can be so passionate about programming at the first place. So Reddit
Hmm.
gave me the platform, like how to improve yourself, and you meet so many passionate guys who are really great at coding and designing and other things, and you want to be like them. You get nurtured very well in Reddit. They are it's really widespread team. So for me, the team is not in India. Like there are only few guys working from India, and rest are across the globe. So
Uh-huh.
it was a unique experience to work with the guys whose day starts when you're about to call it a day. So around 7 or 8 p.m. they come online, and then you can ask your queries. So yeah, it was quite challenging at first, but then later I got used to it, and they all are really helping, and they don't expect you to work late hours or get accustomed to their time zones or anything. You just have to play on your comfort zone, or you have to get out of your comfort zone if you want to grow. But yeah, they nurture you enough so you can get things done.
No,
They
definitely.
put their trust in them. Yeah.
You
So
just mentioned a great part one, sorry to say. You just put it down a very key significant ingredient of open source, that is collaboration,
yeah,
right? You show the enthusiasm and other ones are there to welcome it. Great, buddy. Yeah. So what is the project
yeah,
you are
you
working with Red Hat? Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
So I work on Kogito. It's a business automation tool.
Okay. Cogito,
So
the business
yeah.
automation. Okay. Can you please throw some more lights to it?
Yeah, so a lot of you, I'm not sure, but I'm not. When I was in college or on my first day, I was not sure what business automation meant or what exactly is business
Yeah.
automation and what exactly Cogito was. So
Hmm.
before coming to the company, I had no idea about Cogito or business automation at all. So Cogito ergo automate. So our Cogito is a business automation. Let's first talk about what business automation is. So
Yes.
business automation can provide a way. Can you, Gaurav, can you please put in the next slide?
Sure.
Okay, so it's kind of a common language between the IT and the business. So the business people can't really understand the code when they look at it. They really don't have to. So the business process automation can give a neutral ground where they can see the processes, how they are going to be connected. So let's say you have a repetitive task like employee onboarding, or when you go to a bank and ask for a loan, so they don't have to go again and run the numbers again and again. They can just take your inputs like what's your credit score and what's your this, and all these things get automated, and all those things get calculated. So I have a diagram which can show this better. Carol, can you present the next slide?
Yeah, sure.
The next one, the BPM and
This one.
diagram.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
it's kind of a it's a rule, a BPM diagram. So just for an example, like how business automation works and how can business people see and understand what it is. So every component, every service, so has its own code or whatever it is that developer might have written, what it's going to do. but the flow,
Mhm.
how the user going to interact with it, and how the input and outputs of every process is going to go, it's designed by the business people. So they say first thing is to order the rule, order the order rules. So there are some order rules. What are you going to order? Then there might be a person who is going to review your order. So there is a manual step in between, order approved or not, that's decided by the review order. And then there is another step. If it is not approved, then it's finished. And if it is approved, then what part to go. So as you can see in the diagram, it's, it's easy to understand by the business people or any people who are non-technical or non-IT. So that's where
Mhm.
business automation plays a huge role. So if I were to take in another example, so
Mhm.
if you go to a bank, they don't have to run a program or run some numbers again and again, asking your inputs again and again. They have an application which they have designed using a business automation tool. So they have these tiny microservices which interact with each other, and they just take your inputs once and they get done with it. They have the answer if the loan is approved or not, just based on your credit score. It's not magic. It's like business automation also enforces you to follow the microservices paradigm. So each service, each block you see over there, like, or rules or review order, that's each components there. So it's going to take some processing done. And in
Mhm.
these rules, the rules are defined in various languages. Like you can define in DMN or don't get scared by these terms if you are not familiar with it. I have put in all the resources you might need to get to know these things. I don't want to go into much details about it. I'm sure the people who are very new to it will get just lost.
No, definitely. I even so I am, because I am also new to the business process automation. So you were just presenting this one slide talking about the examples like employees onboarding or the banks or even talking about the travel agency. Let's make it
Yeah.
very much simple. What I understood from this is that let's take an example of the third part, that is travel and agencies. So let's say if I have to book an travel, do you really mean that business process automation can help me in designing a rule that, hey, a new user search down some bookings, like I want to plan a travel to Leh Ladakh. I just click on that package. Now I enter my detail. It will take to my next step, or I should say something similar to that. Is it so?
So, yeah, let's take a let's down let's take a bit complex example. Like you have to
Okay.
go to US or Europe, and there might be a
Okay.
visa approval application in there. So
Sure.
you fill out a form. So what do you think the first step is?
Just go to online, exploring the website, fill down the form, and submitting it for the approval.
Okay, so if you were running a travel agency example, there can be
Uh-huh.
multiple things for you to do first. So the first thing would be the destination country. Do they
Yeah.
require a visa for you, or do they
Right.
provide an on-arrival visa?
Hmm.
So if they don't require a visa, then you can go straight to the hotel booking with your details, and you can select you can have predefined rules, like what we say it's a decision manager. So you have predefined rules, when then rules. So
Hmm.
they can, people can say my budget is from this to this, so we can give them a bunch of options from hotels, like these are the hotels from these to this range, and you can select any of them. So there are bunch of manual intervention in between, but pretty much you can see it's like a single flow. So once you
Right.
click on your details, it goes to the if visa is required or not. Then if visa is required, then we'll ask you for your supporting documents, and then if it get approved, we process to the hotel chain, like what's the hotel best suited for you for your prices. So these are individual components interacting and designed by the business people, how the flow would be, what's the first step, what would be the second step, and each box will have its own code, maybe written in Java or any other language. Like it can consume the APIs.
Awesome. So that means it is simplifying, and that what actually automation means. So for me, I have always seen the automation in a perspective that automation is not new to the world, right? It is since the ages. It's just only that we are adopting a new way of doing the
Yeah.
things, right? Like one of
Yes.
the example I always take to my clients is that if you see the banking sectors, one of the significant change that like I should say the banking has brought in is the very first days we used to go and stand in a queue to take out the cash. Then slowly and gradually there was some counting machine came in where you just put down the notes and it will simply give you a count that okay, this much of account is there. And nowadays the ATM vending machines are there. You just go insert your ATM and you get the exact amount out. So it has just done the automation, right? So according to you, when it comes to the business automation, if somebody have to scratch down the roots, what do you think that how it has been involved, or it is just getting started, or what, how you see this particular evolution of the business process automation?
So the decision community has been there for decades, if I if I recall correctly.
Yes.
But the adoption is rather new, and with Cogito, we went with the cloud native approach. So
Okay.
if you were to talk about banks, so if you remember the old days, I have not lived by them. I've just seen movies and other things. But if you if you go stand in a long queue waiting for your paperwork and other things, screaming like, if I will get a loan, or if I can get a car loan or a home loan, and here are my papers, can you process it? And then they'll send you to another office, like go to that counter, and then you go there, explain the same thing again, and then they'll tell you go to another counter, and you'll have to, for a user experience, that's a way worse user experience. You have to give your information again and again, the same information you have, but and they are, just swirling you around again and again. So for business automation, what we can do is we can fetch like, okay, here's your credit score. So based on credit score, what are our bank policies? So we can define, like, if it's when credit score is greater than, say, 70 points, then grant the loan up to 30 lakhs or something like that. So
Hmm.
user can even see it in a Excel sheet. They can
Okay.
define the rules in Excel sheet. So if the range of credit score is 70 to 100, then grant, without any human intervention, just grant the loan up to 30 lakhs. So it's just like that. They'll just take your credit score, enter it down in the system, and it's done. They don't have to do anything else. They'll tell you if your loan is approved or not based on that information. You don't have to go around and around, presenting same information about you. So it's, much better user experience.
Awesome, awesome. And while you just explained these diagrams, definitely we are not going to have the tech deep dive. But before I jump on to the audience questions, so guys, please feel free to drop down the questions for Tarun over here. But before that, I just want to ask one thing, Tarun, that you just mentioned that while you are designing this entire flow, you that the bits and bytes that are there, like the odd boxes we can see, like one a b c and something towards the end, it can be of any language, or to learn the business process automation you need to learn certain languages, or anything like that. Like what I why I am coming from is that, like, if I am a beginner, or if our viewers want to learn about the business process automation, what are the preferred languages that you would suggest them, that okay, you should learn this thing? Or it is just like a codeless platform, you go there and you just simply design something out?
Okay, so your application can be in any language, but our our tool only supports two of the frameworks, like Spring Boot or Quarkus. So
Okay.
if you want to use Cogito, your application should follow either Quarkus or Spring Boot framework. So they are well-known platform, and Quarkus is one of the things, like, it's really cool. It's super fast. It's supersonic subatomic Java. So the Quarkus lets you build, with JVM, with Java application, there is always a bulk JVM overhead. With Quarkus, we just remove that. We build out the native executables, and then you just run them executables directly on your system without the need of JVM, and it's run like in milliseconds. It's really fast. So it's really lets you scales up when you use Cogito with Quarkus.
Okay, that
So
sounds
the
pretty
main motive
cool.
of Cogito is of cloud native. So as you see in my first slide, it's like Cogito ergo automate. So
Yes.
yeah, so it's based on Cogito, like, see, the Latin phrase Cogito ergo sum. It means I think, therefore I exist. It's a famous phrase. So our Cogito project was kind of, thought process, like, how can we improve the existing business process automation tools we already have? Let's make it, there is a difference between cloud ready and cloud native. If I
Yes.
have the time, can I
Sure, sure,
emphasize this
sure.
on
Please,
it? Yeah.
please, 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 please,
Okay,
please.
so you don't have to just, build up your application, build some images, Docker files, and run just a whole application over there. That just makes it cloud ready, not cloud native. Cloud native is the application which is built for cloud from the ground up. So you can, build your JRE, and Java jars and other things on your
Right.
Docker file, and run them, but it will take, a bunch of time when you start them up with. With cloud native, it means if you use the native runtime images, when you just run the executable, it's super fast. And when you scale up, like from 10 containers to like serving 10,000 containers, so it becomes really fast to scale up and scale down at the same time. So it's really great to have a cloud native technology.
Absolutely. You pointed out a very, very good difference, that what is the difference between cloud native and cloud ready? That is equally important for our viewers to understand, that if you are beginning your career and you start hearing these terms talking about cloud native and cloud ready, you need to understand these basic difference out there, right? And this is very good, very good. I totally agree and align my thoughts to the same, that yes, being cloud native and cloud ready is actually the two different terminologies which people in general mixes out. Definitely. So let me take one of the question coming from our viewers. Prashansa, if I'm taking the wrong names, my apologies. So she said that, how is business process automation assisting here? If I give a list of factors and decision, does business processes tool help me set up the service stack? What is your take
Yeah,
on that one?
absolutely. If you I have some links which Gaurav will share with you. If you go and design some of the rules, like you can list out these factors and decisions for you. So the factors might be like, if you are applying for a driving license, the factors are age or height for some cases. So those are the two factors, and based on those two factors, I can decide what, if your license is approved or not. And the third factor could be driving test, like result of driving test, pass or fail.
Mhm.
If it's passed, like age, if age is 18 plus and the driver test passed, then grant him the license.
Okay.
It's just simple as that. So given the factors, I can make out my own rules with those factors, and then come out of decision using those rules.
So you are saying that, if my understanding is correct, and if I have to make it very simple, that by using Cogito, I can design the rules and decide the factors. Like, okay,
Yeah,
these is my rules, these are my factors. That yes, if these are the conditions met, approve it. If it doesn't, pass it on this thing, or like reapply or something like that. And for
yeah,
designing this thing, I need not to worry about any coding language to learn.
yeah.
Only the application should be following the Quarkus, or I should say the other thing that you just mentioned,
Spring
talking
Boot.
about
Yeah,
Spring Boot, right?
yeah,
So only these two conditions are there, right?
yeah.
That's a very good insight, Tarun. Means for all the
So
viewers who are aspiring to be in the software engineer field at Red Hat, I believe, guys, do try out this thing. Never be disheartened that, yeah, I don't know any coding language. Yeah.
our operator supports build. So we have a cloud
Yes.
operator for Kogito. So
Hmm.
for these diagrams that I've showed you, the BPMN diagram, if you
Yeah.
just fetch, if you just give the operator a BPMN or a DMN file, it will deploy
Hmm.
your whole application with the Swagger UI endpoint. So you can play around with it, see how the rules are processed and other things. And we have this add-on explainability service, which will which will let you take a deeper look into why the answers are what they are. Like
Hmm.
if the loan was disapproved, so you don't, from a banker's perspective, I don't know code and what went wrong, I don't know. Like there could be n number of factors that I'm taking into account, like family history, spouse's credit score, your own credit score, and other, there can be any number of things. So if something fails and your loan doesn't approve, I can give you the reason. So this is why your loan doesn't get approved. If you can improve it to a factor like by 5 points, your loan will get approved. So we have this, some pretty cool things in Cogito.
Definitely, definitely. And that's what actually true automation is all about, right? You just integrate the flows and you have the end result out there, right?
Yeah.
I align to that particular thought. Continuing her question, there is another question coming out, that the banking processes correlates with the software that they have and their infra too may be. So how will the bank, which already has a traditional setup in place, adopt the business process automation? A great question, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so if you already have an existing tool, so
Mhm.
right now I'm not sure how to perfectly set this up, but if it's consumed by APIs, you can expose those APIs and make it work with Cogito. But it's not yet. I have not tried. I have not personally tried yet. But yeah, please, I will going to try. I was going to try it and let you know the answer. But if you try it, please, if you find any bugs, please feel free to open it, and we'll work on it as soon as possible.
Definitely, definitely. No, that actually means I believe if I have to simplify this, that if I as an organization see that I have a monolithic application working in my environment, do I really need to change the architecture of my application to adopt Cogito?
Mm,
What
not
is your
not
take on that?
not
Hmm.
entirely true, I would say.
Hmm.
It will be better if your application is microservices paradigm, so it can scale up and down with cloud.
Yes.
If you have smaller components, but even if you have larger components, they still will talk to each other using APIs, right?
Hmm.
So you can use
Absolutely.
those APIs with Cogito and run your application on.
No, definitely, because why I asked this particular question is that when I personally as a encounter a lot of customers, we always get this request. And in today's world, microservices is something that everybody wants to adapt. But still there are certain challenges that yeah, my application is not being designed in such a way that it can immediately adopt the microservices. But on the other
So
hand, I want to
yeah,
adopt the
you can
microservices.
think of it like this. So if you in a BPMN diagram, the blocks you see, it's like you can think of it. There is some input and there is some output to it. Okay, so the internal implementation can be anything. It can be your own custom language, or can be anything. We just care about the what's the input of it and what's the output of it, and where we would need to send those output to. You see, it's just a connecting a flow. So it's just like API talking to one another.
Awesome. I believe that is definitely going to help our viewer. Another question coming from Anant is that what type of environment we require to run Cogito, or is it a standalone? Yeah.
You can build your application like we have this Cogito example repository. You would just need JRE and Maven setup, and you can run on your local system as well. And
So
if you
does yeah, please, please.
and if you don't want to set that up, and if you have access to an OpenShift cluster, you can point where your code is located on a GitHub repository to any folder, and will perform everything for you. We'll build the container image for your application, we'll deploy it using our operator, and expose the endpoints for you.
Hmm.
But definitely you
And
can run it on your system as well locally using, it's just our runtime. The Cogito runtime is written in Java, so it's just the running the jar, that's all, using JRE and Maven combined. You just have to compile and run the jars.
so I believe you have already answered this part, that is it standalone? Yes, it can work. So continuing this part, out of curiosity, I want to ask the continue question that do we need to also set up like a high availability cluster to run the Cogito, or is it fine to run the standalone?
No, no, you can run it standalone. Like for local testing, if you are just trying it out, you can definitely try it up with local Java and Maven, which will expose the ports on your local host, like on. So it is definitely easier way rather than set up a OpenShift cluster on your local machine and trying it out. I would say to try it out, just to try it out, choose the standalone. But if you want to try out operator as well and images, feel free. They really automate your processes for you. Like you don't have to build and then see what happens. It will take care of the things.
So that means it's perfectly works in the cluster environment as well as a standalone. It totally
Yeah,
depends on the use case that how you want to.
yeah.
Talking about Anand's question, he has another question that I believe Cogito can run on Kubernetes. If possible, can you show some live examples?
It is
Seems like
possible for Cogito to run on Kubernetes. I have put in a link like Cogito examples repository for her. So every folder is an example in itself, and in every folder there is the operator folder, which will tell you like how to run it on Kubernetes. And please, it's on our documentation itself. We have a section about Kubernetes and how operator works on Kubernetes. So you can definitely run it on plain Kubernetes without anything extra.
So I believe I have already pasted the links of the Cogito community, or I should say the Cogito project actually, onto the description of this video and all the other resources. I'm gonna just in a few minutes we are gonna talk about those resources in upcoming slides and all minutes. So please be patient on that part, and I'll also paste down all the links after our video today, and you can find them in the description, Anand. So I hope that answers. Another question coming from WebHub: if you have microservices, then you should use business automation tool to implement business logic. Your take on that?
I think it's a statement rather than question. I'm not sure if how
So
what question.
I should say that in this statement, what your take on this?
Yeah, if you have a microservices paradigm, then business automation tool definitely will help you, bring the observability in your business or business logics, like what's the flow should be. You don't have to go and see, okay, so it's the if statement, so code will go in this if this is true. Instead, you can see a business, a non-coder or a business person can just see diagrams and see, okay, this is how this thing works. This will happen if this doesn't happen. So they don't have to look into the code or lines of code, read about that. They can just see a diagram, and we all know diagram works better for us to observe and see what is really going on.
Hmm. Awesome. Great. Means this is also equally important. I see while discussing with you that Cogito can be a very, very good tool to use when it comes to the startups or the early stage of businesses, right? Means it is
Mhm.
very affordable. It can work as a standalone. If you want to adopt, this is very much important to do go ahead and do it, right?
Yeah.
So absolutely correct. Another question coming from Hirsch is that in what ways a known Java skilled person can contribute to Cogito project? What is your take on that?
So our runtimes are based on Java, but if you don't know Java, don't worry about it. We have an operator based in Golang. If you know Go, you can contribute there. If you know about container runtime engines, we use Scikit for our images. So we have Cogito images repository. There you can contribute. It's using the container runtime knowledge if you have. Other than that, if you have Jenkins or anything, any documentation pointers or anything, any kind of help or any kind of contribution is highly encouraged, and we always encourage new contributors.
Definitely, definitely. And contribution, you just need to be have that attitude that yes, I want to contribute and rest everything fall in place. Right? Okay. People are I think they are liking the interaction between you and me, Tarun. Another question comes from back from the thing that if I understood this well, Cogito is good for service oriented architecture and would not be successful with monolithics. Is there any future plan for refactoring this?
So what I think about this, if your application is completely monolith, like it's a one giant box, and it's just you don't, it's just you just feed information and it's come out, and there is no other component which it's talked to, then there is no sense to use any business automation or anything. It's like one giant black box. But if you even have two or three components, then yes, you can use business automation and start refactoring your bigger chunks to have smaller service oriented or microservices paradigm.
I believe that answers that part. Okay, there are a lot of technical questions coming in and out. There was very a non-tech question coming out of Aman, and he asked you that how to bring out the fear, or as said, afraid by Tarun sir. So, what about in this particular perspective? Yes, tell me.
Okay. So when I started contributing, so before I was not that comfortable with reading with GitHub repositories or other things. But when you start and read the README file, when you go to any repository, there is a README file on the homepage. So if you
Mhm.
start reading it, there is a bunch of things, and it tells you what you can do with the project and how to do it. Just prepare your local environment and just try running it and see if you have any troubles or anything. If you have any troubles, just report an issue. Please don't be afraid of opening issues or opening an EPR of any grammatical errors or anything. It can be as minor as an extra E or a full stop or not, but can be anything, any grammatical errors or anything. But just don't be afraid of trying it out. I know I was afraid, and I'm glad that I let go of that fear.
But definitely trying. I always says that when you're learning, definitely there will be something that you're going to get fail. And if you are not afraid of getting fail, definitely every single time you learn something, then you unlearn and relearn the things. That is the most
Yeah,
important part of the
I would
journey.
just say don't be afraid to be wrong. You can be wrong, but don't be afraid of trying. Just to saying,
Yes,
okay, I might be wrong. This might happen some another way. Just put your thoughts out, and we will help you as soon as I can.
definitely. And that's the beauty of open source. Nobody judges you. You commit mistakes and people are there to help you and assist you. Awesome, awesome. So there is another question coming out of Anant. He says that, let's say someone is going for a startup, how beneficial it will be for them to go for Cogito?
Okay, so for early days, I would say not to use business automation like if it's a startup. Like I would think of it just as a bunch of tech guys doing their work, and they don't really need to have this visualization because all of them are consumed with their code and they know all about it. But when they start presenting it and how things are working, diagrams works like to show a non-technical person or anyone like how our project is going to be a success. So when you ask for funds and other things, you can't show them, okay, here's our 20 or 30,000 lines of code, just go through it and you will understand what we do. You can instead show them ppn diagrams and show what's the business logic and what's the business flow of it.
Right, right. Means it totally depends. This is another perspective that you brought in, that if you are going for a startup, the bunchful hand of techies can easily manage it. But when they want to scale, definitely automation will be a great help for them.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree. I guess people, you can put down few more questions if you have, and with respect of time, we will take another question, something like that. Okay, he has another follow-up question which says that because initially it will be mostly monolithic in starting, I believe. Yes, I believe every single services in the start they always have this monolithic architectures, right? But it is good,
Yeah.
like that just mentioned about being ready for cloud native is important rather than just saying we are cloud ready. So that should help. Okay, there's a lot of background noise coming out of you, Tarun.
Yes.
That's the
So
best part
sorry
of
about.
working from home. Working from home is always give you that flexibility to hear these quite good noises that, hey, the time is about to get buzz. Awesome, awesome. I want to ask you another question, Tarun. While going through your interview process at Red Hat, do you want to give few tips that everybody should follow, that if they want to apply for a software engineer role at Red Hat, these are the things that they should always keep in mind.
I would say just be open and be confident of the things you know, and don't be afraid to admit that you don't know something. It's perfectly fine. You don't have to be an expert in everything. You're just starting your career or maybe a few years along, but it's just a start. There are plenty of people who know many of things and they don't even think they know everything. So I'll just say that be open, just be confident and be coherent with your skills that you have. Don't say that I know these things, and with just basics of it, just put do a bunch of projects that will help and show how you can apply those knowledge that you know. And don't be afraid to tell that I don't know this thing but I'm willing to learn it. Just have that willingness in you to learn something new. Don't be afraid to start something new. For me, it's I've met, I'm not going to name someone or anything, but I've met people who say that I'll only code in C or C++ or anything. But for me, I would say like please be open to any language you might have to work in. It's just the start of our career, and we shouldn't keep us bounded. You never know when you might found an interesting language or interesting thing to work in.
Absolutely, that is equally important. I should say. Okay, so coming back to the part, one interesting question coming from Hirsch. He says that backed by battle tested capabilities. What does this mean from Cogito website? Yeah.
Okay, so the Kogito is we say it's the predecessor of our RHPAM DM tool. So it's based on JBPM, rules, TMN, which are the technology which have been there in this market for for a long time, and their capabilities have been tested, and we sell them as products at Red Hat, and their capabilities have been tested exhaustively. So yeah, and we have taken those experiences, the best features about them, and put it in Cogito. So that's why we say it's backed by battle tested capabilities. It's
Awesome.
not like we have put it in a fight with another business
Right.
automation tool. It's just we know things work, but if not, please feel free to open any issues.
Definitely, definitely. That's equally important. So, Tarun, coming out, Anant has put it down another question that you recently converted to full time, as Gaurav sir mentioned. How was your journey so far from internship? And another follow up question says that also, are the certifications important to get into Red Hat? Your take on that?
Okay. So for the certifications part, I don't think so. No. And not even in my single interview within Red Hat or outside of it, when I was trying, there was not a single company or an individual who asked me how did you get this certifications or anything. They never asked you about. They just want to know how eager you are to learn new things, and uh, how much you can adapt, you know, open to collaboration. You shouldn't be like, I know everything, I'm not going to collaborate with anyone. You have to be open to new possibilities. Within Red Hat, we have this open culture, and you can't do everything on your own. So certification, I don't think they have any importance, to be honest. From my own perspective, I have gone boredom of certifications. I don't think they are that much, valuable right now. But yeah, that's just my take. Not anyone like Gaurav sir do a bunch of certification, and I admire him for that. But yeah, that's just my take. I think I would be I would spend doing some project or doing something in that technology rather than doing certifications or something.
Definitely, I always believe that certifications definitely gives you an edge, but after you have that those basics cleared and you have
Yeah.
created a good project out of it, and then it can signify that hey, I have done a good project, and this is what it signifies that hey, this is what I have done out of it. So definitely that creates a curiosity. And talking about Anand's another question that what do you think? How's your journey so far, converting from internship and getting into an associate software engineer role?
So my journey was really great. I met a lot of awesome people. We have this open culture, and everything is, they are dying to help you. Like, it's like they want to help you more. They want to help you grow. It's No one is competitive. Like, if he's going to do more work than me, then it's not like that. It's not a competition or anything. Everyone is so supportive. Everyone is out there to help you if you just have to ask them. It's just
Hmm.
that. And from my internship to my full time, I have made so many mentors. I found many mentors in Red Hat, and I learned a lot from them. I admire them a lot. You meet a
Absolutely.
lot of great guys in Red Hat.
Definitely. Even I am regularly in touch with you, and I know that it is being a roller coaster ride for you. Ups and downs are always the part of game, but definitely you are doing really, really great. Awesome. Another question coming about, people are just smacking LinkedIn and certification every day. Maybe I connected to the wrong people. Might. Yes, definitely that I can say. Yes, Anand, you are connected with the wrong people. Okay. Lastly, means we are on the top of our hours. So people, if we are not able to answer any of the questions, please feel free to put down in the comment section. And what I want to ask you, Tarun, about my last take, that any piece of advice you would love to give to our viewers, that or even to the students who are pursuing that they want to adopt a software engineer's role in Red Hat or outside Red Hat, any piece of advice you want to give it to them, please.
Don't be afraid to anything. Don't be afraid for new possibilities, and please open to be collaboration, and don't be afraid. Just that's my main thing. Don't be afraid of anything. You can do it if you put your mind to it.
Definitely. Don't be afraid. What a great part. And even we at Red Hat always believed in expanding your possibilities. I have always been a believer of that particular part, that expanding your possibilities is something that can always, always help you. And talking about the people, Tarun has just shared some of the valuable resources to go for Cogito. And these all resources will be also there in the link, but again you can pause the particular video and you can take the screenshot of it, go and do visit these links. This will be very much helpful for you all. And I believe, thank you so much, Tarun. That's the end for day two, where we just talked about Cogito. A lot of good insight, actually, where we just talked about that what are the different opportunities business process automation can bring to an individual. I hope all the viewers definitely get to know what business process automation is, what is a day in a software engineer life at Red Hat. Basically, Tarun's life at Red Hat is all about what project he actually works on and what are his day-to-day tasks. Definitely, we cannot talk about the task, but yes, I hope you get the insights. Now, the fun part. I hope. Tarun, we have our lucky winner also out there, right? Do you have anyone out there who is lucky to get the goodies for the today's quiz or like the questions? Do you have someone?
Yeah, I think the goodies, the Prashansa could be the one. She asked really great questions.
Okay, let me make it more exciting. So, who is there? So, it is
Prashansa Kulshrestha.
Prashansha.
If I'm
Okay, Prashansha Kulshitra. I believe if I'm not able to pronounce it correctly. So I hope you got the thing that you are the one of the lucky winner. And again, I believe there are like, let me make it more exciting. I'm gonna give it to two people. Anant has also put down a good question. He was throughout in the
yeah.
session. So this day too, I'm gonna give two goodies. So one is for Prashansha from Tarun and one Anant from my side. So both of you, please drop me an email uh, to cheerswithgaurav at gmail.com and I'll reach out to you personally for your goodies. So just drop me an email to cheerswithgaurav at gmail.com, or even you can connect me on LinkedIn or on Twitter or follow me on Instagram, and also do reach out to Tarun on his LinkedIn, which is mentioned in the description box. We will catch you up tomorrow. Another session, another things lined up for you all, another day exciting with one of more associate. We will talk about another technology that Red Hat works with. So stay tuned. Please feel free to comment, like, share in the videos that what Cheers with Gaurav means to you. Do reach out to Tarun for any help you need. The resources link will be up and live just after this video. Stay tuned, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much, Tarun, for being here. I'll catch you
Thank you
soon.
for having me. And just on a final note, if you
Yeah.
guys are having a tough time starting with Kogito or any other related product or tool, just please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tarun. It was a great catching up with you after a long time and discussing Cogito. Thank you so much. Cheers, buddy. Have a great
Yeah.
day. And for all the viewers, cheers to you all. Prashansha and Anant, do drop me an email or connect to me over LinkedIn, Twitter, or Insta. I'll be right there at your service. Thank you so much.